What it is, guys, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back at y'all with another Danmachi video. Today we're talking about Record Buster, okay? It came back. Now, Familia War Games is coming up, guys, so we need to start preparing. In fact, if you want to join the Chesty of Familia, I'll go ahead and drop the information here. Send us a request, and I'll drop in the description down below. I'll actually put a permanent link to the Discord. There is a whole Familia application section. You can go in, fill out the application. We do kind of want to know what your last War Games run was, and we do check these things, so be honest, please. But we have a few slots left to fill, as you can kind of see up there with the exclamation point. So if you want to join the Familia, absolutely, we need a few members before this goes live here in the next couple of days. We are looking for people that are at least, I want to say King 3, if not King 1 preferably, or better. For the Familia, most of us are about the King 1 range, so that's not to say we aren't taking new members. Just at the moment, I think we've got really high ranking. We're positioned to be in the top 100, so we'd like to hold on to that. We can always talk about new members and all that kind of stuff, because there are drops. You know, it's just one of those things. It's a game. People come in and leave, so we get drops all the time. So definitely don't not send your application, but it is something that we are going to heavily consider for this one. But let's get back to Record Buster, okay? Now, with Record Buster, basically, the number one team you want to run is a Dark team. Dark teams are going to do way better damage-wise, for the most part, than anybody else. Now, Reveria this time does not have any limitations as far as, you know, strength and magic goes. Physical and magic are going to be equally damaging to her, so you don't really need to worry about that too much. That said, when it comes down to how to hurt her, Dark teams do the absolute best job. But wait, hold up. What are you doing with Argonaut and Krazo on your team? They are not Dark units. Well, first of all, let's look at her stats real quick, okay? So the minus 15 on the physical and magic, that's because of the, whenever you see the red like that, that's because she's already affected by, I've got assists that are actually reducing that, and we're going to reduce it a little more with debuffs from our characters. Now, you'll also see that she's down 60% on Dark. It's normally 50%. So Earth, Wind, and Dark, all three have added effectiveness to her. You notice the Fire does not, but she's also not that resistant to Fire. She's just meh to Fire. So if we can debuff her Fire, Argonaut and Krazo will still do great things. And I'm going to show you a little secret hint and trick that I've been doing to produce really good damage in here. And I'm actually working on my team to go to level 5 and do even more. Best run this far is about 32 mil, and I'm really shooting for the 50s this time around. But let's jump in here, okay? So in the first turn, I've got Line. Now, my Line has no dupes. She's got nothing. And I've taken all of her equipment away. Why the hell would I do that? Well, because I need Line for turn 1 and turn 1 only. That's it. Once she gets turn 1 over with, you'll see what's going to happen here, okay? To do that, I also put on an assist. Now, this assist may not be good for turn 4, for level 4. Level 4, she might hang around for a couple of turns. It's going to be all right. I'm not going to lose sleep about that. And then I'm obviously going to do Jolts to debuff Reveria, and Hero Rising to buff Argonaut, and I'm going to do Cartwheel to buff Mikasa. Now, it is worth noting that Hero Rising, let's go back in here, Hero Rising is a strength and fire damage buff. Cartwheel is just a strength buff. This is going to become important, okay? So let's go ahead and do turn 1, and let's talk about what's going to happen after this, okay? So, Line starts taking damage. That's really, really, really good. Now, normally I'd want to go and do her counter rate, but I don't want her to heal because I want her gone next turn. I want Line around as few turns as possible. Why would that be? Well, I'll show you here in a second. Alright, so I'm going to do pure casting, and that's to reduce her fire resistance. That's going to take her fire resistance down from 0 to minus 25%. That's really good. And Awakening Spirits on Argonaut is going to be good for adding a little more healing to our team. Now, our team already heals pretty well, but a little extra bit of healing. You know, in fact, I'm gonna not do that this turn, only because I don't think we really need that. I'm going to keep this on. And plus, it is not really beneficial when I don't have Krazo immediately jumping down to do all that. So we'll forego it this time. We'll go straight into Spiral Strike. Okay, that's going to keep those debuffs on Reveria. Okay, now Enlightenment. I've got a choice to do Enlightenment or to do Face Cutter. I'm going to keep Enlightenment on only because I want to keep that SA gauge increase fresh. In fact, yeah. Plus, reducing to 40% might not kill her this turn. So I want her gone. So here we go. So everybody's getting buffed for the most part, and Line is dead. That's what we were going for. That's our goal. Now in this turn, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a counter and penetration rate buff on the rest of the team, and everybody's going to get their top-notch spot here. Pure Casting did not go off. That was an oversight on my part, but that's going to be fine. I am not going to worry about that because I want to buff everybody's buffs. So we're going to go away in a turn. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do Pure Casting. I'm going to do Pure Casting for the memes. All right, here we go. So hopefully all this makes sense. Now we're increasing our guard rate, and we're increasing the... I just realized because of the little graph here, you kind of can't see Haruhime's life. But the main thing we're going after Haruhime for is her ability to increase debuffs and buffs, mostly debuffs. And she's going to be good for increasing penetration rate and counter rate. That counter rate is going to be super duper important, because for the next 2 turns, every little piece of counter we can get is going to help out infinitely. Okay? Now, we've got a strength down, magic down, and agility down. I want to go ahead and hit her with a 40% on strength and magic before she gets this turn off. It's going to be super important for Mikasa or whoever you have to do a magic buff removal, because Reveria on this turn is going to buff her magic, and you need to remove that buff to survive this super attack, okay? Or at least to survive it kind of handsomely. If you do not do that, if you do not remove that buff, you are going to hate life. Mark my words, okay? She's going to hit stupid hard, and it's going to be a world of suck and nonsense, okay? Now, so we're going to make sure she's doing nonstop. We're going to make sure that he's doing Spiral Strike and he's doing Vortex Flames. Vortex Flames is going to keep everybody's buffs in place for 1 turn. It's not really going to matter after this turn, because when she does a super attack, it's going to remove everybody's buffs. Okay? So, and I'm going to have her doing her debuff move, because Reveria never, ever, ever removes her debuffs. And anything else I do in this turn really isn't going to do us any kind of justice. Now, it may come to a point when we start getting into super attack level that I might start using Haruhime's ability to buff, basically buffs and debuffs, because she'll add 2 turns. Basically, she gives you like an extra turn on it. So right now, I'm got physical down 25% for from Krazo, and fire attribute down 25% also from Krazo. That's very good. Those debuffs are always going to stay in play. Now, it does mean Krazo does lose his, well, no, he actually doesn't have, yeah, so there's absolutely no point in doing anything else with him, because he doesn't buff himself, he just debuffs. So doing Vortex Flame to keep the other buffs in play are going to be really good. Now, if we go down in here, you'll notice that these 2 lost all of their buffs, so we've got to rebuild their stack. What does she have for 3 turns? Oh, light attribute down. I'm not worried about that. She is going to do increased damage, but there's not a whole lot that I can do about that at this juncture. So basically, we're just not going to lose sleep. Now, I am going to improve the penetration rate and the counter rate. Counter rate is super, super, super important, because now that we've lost Line's ability to increase the SA gauge. Now, notice the SA gauge is now up to 1 already. That's really good, but we're not doing super attacks until turn 9. Turn 9? What are you talking about? We'll get to it. So, in this one, I'm going to increase her counter rate, because the counter rate is going to increase that gauge exponentially. I really wish we had somebody in here right now that could do what Line does. There's an assist that does it, but I don't have her. Grumble, grumble. But if I did, I would definitely have put her on Line and had her increasing that rate. But right now, what we want to do is we just want to improve the ability for these guys to do counterattacks and to continue building that. Because our goal is to get 1 super attack off at turn 9, and all 4 super attacks off at turn 15. And we actually might manage to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do here, and the other thing is, if you're not familiar with how Haruhime works, every time she counters, she doesn't do an attack, she does a heal on whoever's got the lowest health. So this is going to be super duper important. You'll notice we maybe only once, if at all, use Haruhime's buff skill, because we really just don't need it. That said, on this turn, we are going to lose all that, but improving the penetration rates can be way more important. So let's do this. Alright. So basically we're rebuilding all the buffs. Now the one thing you will notice, we are now missing the debuff on, you know what, and we're going to keep the debuff ability on, yeah, there we go. So we have to redo the debuff, and Argonaut now is not, in fact, I'm going to do this to keep all those debuffs in play. His heal isn't going to be as important this turn, but we are going to want to redo that at some point. So I've got Argonaut with Spiral Strike keeping all the debuffs in play. I'm going to have Krazo now doing the physical and the fire resistance down. That's going to be really important, allowing her to take damage. And for Mikasa, we're going to have her reducing that incoming damage. Now, with Haruhime has buffed everybody to the absolute moon. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to start attacking with her. Now, I could just do a regular attack, but for her, MP is never a problem. So I'm just having her do her highest attack, getting the most damage out as possible. I could be using her for the debuff, but I think right now it's going to be more important to actually get attacks off with her. So here we go. Okay. There we go. Plus, the nice thing about Haruhime is there's a point where once I have her done, once I've got everything in play with her, I'm no longer going to want her on the team, and I eventually actually want her to die. I don't know if it's going to happen. It really depends on Reveria doing the right thing at the right time, which she only does about maybe one every, I don't know, 10 runs. But, fingers crossed. So, turn 7, we're going to go ahead and do non-stop. We're going to bring back Vortex Flames. Everybody buffs should just stay in place. I mean, we've got 3 turns on just about everything here, so it's really not going to be that important. You will notice that we're debuffed a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about those debuffs. Those debuffs are the least of my problems at level 4. Level 5, they become an issue, but I don't really have anybody that can kind of deter that at the moment. Not with this kind of team build. This team build is built for producing points, not necessarily for protecting my my allies. The one thing I didn't mention, and I think is really important, Reveria does, I never talked about it during setup, but Reveria does stun and slow. Getting rid of slows, not really that, there's not that much to it, especially when with like Krazo you're debuffing her agility. It's really not that big a deal, it kind of counteracts it a little bit. Stun, on the other hand, you want to use anklets. If you have the anti-stun assist, that's great. I do have one of them. I have the 3-star, but I really kind of think for me, it's better to have the anklets on as my defensive item because I've got all my anklets completely rehammered. They're at top stats. They're all maxed out. So for me, I would rather do the anklets than the assist. Because the 4-star assist that does it, I don't have her. Well, I don't have her MLB'd. And I need MLB'd max limit break, +5 if you're fairly new to the game. I have all my +5 assists on all these units to help keep them alive and keep them healthy and to do most of what they can. So using the anklets, if you're not familiar with what the anklets are, go back and watch my my equipment videos that I produced last month, and it'll cover all that. But let's get back to the fight. So this turn, we absolutely need non-stop. We're going to keep Spiral Strike, and we're going to keep Vortex Flame. That's going to keep all our buffs, debuffs, and we're going to reduce her magic stat, or we're going to reduce her magic buff, which I think she gets next turn, not this turn, but irrelevant. It's Mikasa's hardest hitting move. And because everything else is still in play, all the debuffs are still there, everything's golden, we're not going to worry about it this turn. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to keep doing my attack with Haruhime. Okay, so, no, we're not doing her special arts yet. We don't want that. We want her attack. Good thing I checked that, because that would have been a very bad move. All right. So here we go. Now, you notice we are killing our MP, but it's not going to matter. There's going to become a point where MP is pretty much going to be expired for some of our units, and I'm not losing sleep over that. That's the least of my concerns. Okay? Haruhime is the only one I really care about getting all that with. Now, I've got a tough choice to make on this turn. On this turn, I'm going to go ahead and use this so I can extend the debuffs on her, because those debuffs are going to expire shortly. And I do not need those debuffs to expire. So this is the one time I'm actually going to use her heal. Plus, it'll help keep us... Well, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do the heal now. I'm going to do the heal now for a very good reason, and I'll show you. It may seem counterproductive, but follow me. Okay? Everyone else is going to continue doing the same thing. She's just going to do her heal move, and it's going to increase her... increase everybody's debuff, or I'm sorry, Reveria's debuffs. Everybody's buffs, yes, but it's not going to make... She's going to debuff us after this turn, so it makes no difference whatsoever. Here we go. Boom. There go all of our buffs. And Haruhime took a decent amount of damage. But this turn is an important, pivotal turn. This changes the game entirely. We're going to do Haruhime's special arts. If you have Haruhime at all on turn 9, do her special attack. Don't do anything prior to this. This turn is special attack. And on this turn, let's just double check all of our debuffs. Everything's going to stay in play and good. So it's time to start rebuilding. Now, I am going to go ahead and do, let's see, physical and fire resistance. I don't even need to do that. So I'm going to keep Vortex Flames on to keep those buffs in place. And then I'm just going to rebuild the buffs. In fact, this first one is a strength and fire attack damage buff. I'm going to keep it just for the fire damage buff. But with Mikasa, hers is a strength buff. I don't need that. I'm just going to go for the dark damage buff. Hold up. Wait a minute. Did you just do what I think you did? I absolutely did. Because Haruhime's is going to add strength and magic plus 100% for 3 turns. No. It's going to add strength at 100% for the rest of the game. Because that is the last turn where Reveria actually debuffs you. After her next super attack, she does not debuff you anymore. All your buffs stay in play at this point. So this is the perfect time to do this and get crazy damage for the rest of the game. Because remember, even if I did do, well, I'll show you with Argonaut. I'll show you after this turn with Argonaut. So we're going to rebuild the stack on these two. He's going to keep those buffs in play. All of our debuffs have no chance of expiring this turn, and we're going to get a crazy amount of heal, not to mention that crazy buff. So that's going to be our stack. Lego. Plus, she's got a really beautiful super attack. Just a great super attack. Bada bing, bada boom. Here we go. Everybody's buffed to hell and back. Let's wreck her. All right. So we are starting to have a few MP problems with Krazo. That's fine. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do our HP regen. And we're just going to spam nonstop for the rest of the game with Mikasa. We're just going to spam it. Okay? Awakening Spirits is going to just give us a little bit more health. None of our buffs are in any danger of leaving. Now you'll see that strength is 100% for Argonaut. But wait, Argonaut also gave himself 50%, right? Well, they don't stack. The highest stat stays in play. So it's not like he's going to override it at any point. Even if I did it again, the 100% would just stay in play. And because we've got Krazo sitting here, and I don't know if they were actually planning this when they were designing these characters, but oh my god, this is so busted. So Krazo is sitting here doing Vortex Flames and keeping those status buffs in play. Remember, the +1 doesn't really add a turn or take away a turn. It just nullifies a turn, more or less. So that 3 turn will stay basically to the end of the game. You follow me? And it does work. We have tested this. It is tried and true. I can hear people out there right now going, there's no way that works. It absolutely does work, and I'm going to prove it here and now. Okay? So we're just going to add a little bit of regen. We're going to spam nonstop, and I'm going to go ahead and give them the penetration and counter increase again. And we're just going to go nuts. Now, this is the point in the game where I don't really mind if Haruhime dies, because after this turn, we don't kind of need her. She's just going to be attacking, and yeah, everything's just going to stay in play. So all of our debuffs are still in play. Now, I could extend them one turn, and it probably wouldn't be a terrible idea to do that, but I mean, all the buffs are now going to stay in play for the rest of the game. Okay. Mikasa, that's another reason why it's great to have Vortex Flames on whenever you do Awakening Spirits, because if you don't, that HP regen goes away. Otherwise, Krazo keeps that at play for the rest of the game. Gotta think about this stuff all the way through. Okay. Now, Mikasa now is going to, just like I said, spam Spiral Strike for the rest of the game. There's never going to be a point at which we're not going to spam that. All right? And we're just going to keep attacking with... So we got Vortex Flames in play. That's keeping every buff in play. We got Spiral Strike. That's keeping every debuff in play. I might still try to kind of buff that up a little bit. In fact, I think I'm going to do that this turn, because I don't want her heal later on. So I'm going to do that to just kind of keep these in case I need to do it again. I shouldn't. I'm debating if I will really need to do that, but it gives me some breathing room. It's probably wasted turn. Let me ponder this for a moment, because I never have to re-debuff her. Her debuffs stay. I never have to... You know what? I'm a safe player. It's going to cost me a couple of points, but in the end of the day, it's not enough. You know what? Screw it. We'll cross that bridge. All our buffs are going to stay in play, and that's the important part. So we're just going to spam this. Lego. Because the more times we can hit with their counter rates being up, the higher we're going to get that stat. Now, you'll notice something here. There is a really good hitter on clutch if we're able to keep all this in play. So, if I can get Haruhime to die without killing Mikasa, Krazo, or Argonaut, which actually is a really good chance because she's only +2 and the rest of them are +5, there's a good chance she'll actually croak before them. So if we can get her to croak on this turn or an upcoming term, yeah, it'll bring in the other Argonaut, and that'll increase the amount of damage we'll have at the end of the game. We'll see if it works, though. I don't foresee it working. But like I said, she doesn't debuff herself for the rest of the turn. She doesn't debuff us for the rest of the turns. We just got to survive all her damage. That's it. It's really simple. Really, really simple. Okay? Big hit. But notice all of our buffs are in place. The counter rate is in place. Everything is still there. The only thing that is not is it took away the heal. That's what it took away. But you know what? Like I said, I kind of want Haruhime to croak. So I'm not going to worry about that. Problem is I'm a little worried about Krazo taking extra damage. This is that moment in the game where I start to question my own tactics. If Krazo takes extra damage, he could kick it, and I really don't want him to. And I don't know if it's really worth the attempt at a higher... nothing gambled, nothing earned. You know what? We'll just keep everything going. So everything's just going to stay in play. Notice nothing's debuffed or buffed. And we're just going to keep doing this, okay? The goal is to build up that super attack bar as high as we can get it. See, Haruhime just healed herself. But hopefully, she'll start healing other people too, so... Alright. He's got one thing left, and it's not going to be any good. It's a low fire attack. I think low fire still does more than regular. I don't know. We're just going to do regular. We're going to do regular. Alright. Now, this does mean buffs are going to start expiring. That's a very bad thing. Okay? But all of our buffs are good for 3 or 4 turns. So, what are we worried about, right? We got this turn and next turn to worry about. So, here's to, hopefully, Haruhime healing Krazo. Heal him, girl. Is their counter rate not up? Did she remove the counter rate? I think she removed the counter rate because I don't see it there. Nope, their counter rate's still up, but they're not countering that much. Anyway, we got 3 this turn, so since you'll notice the 100% is still in place, everything's still golden, we're going to do this. Preferably, and the reason that I've been trying to do level 5 is because preferably I'd like Haruhime to have actually died on that last special attack. And if I could have done that, I could have brought in the other Argonaut, and he would have done a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Now, I don't remember if their combo attack allows for units with the same name. I don't think it does, but I'm going to check it after this run. If it did, that means it would not only be the 4 times combo damage, it would be a triple combo, or 4 times super attack damage, because every time you do a super attack, every time you stack the super attacks like this, they do more damage. It's almost like multiplying it. Multiplying it by 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. Pretty close. Not quite, but pretty close. Then you've got to consider that there's the combo attack that happens after this. Now, their combo attack is probably going to hit for about 2 mil. But if I could add another one to it, it would hit even harder. Though I'd have to double check whether that works or not. I'm not 100% on that. But here we go. 2.3 mil like usual. Close enough. All right. So, not the best turn, and we're not going to get crazy bonuses out of it because it's only level 4, not level 5 or 6. But okay. All right, your old boy's not bad with that. I am not mad at that result whatsoever. 41 is getting much closer to the result that I want. So, 41 mil is very respectable. I'm not quite in that top 1,000, but my goal is hopefully to get in that top 1,000. So as I hit my S Pen button, and I apologize for that little pop-up there. So we're going to go a little bit harder here and keep doing this. But that's basically how I've been doing this one. I have been using an all dark team, but all dark maxed out at like 27 mil. So for me, this team is actually really stellar. And if you ever look at some of the top tier units, they're doing similar tactics. Now, once again, in fact, let me go in here one more time. And let me look at, yeah. All right, if I go here to status and I go to Ancient Bond is the one that they do, okay? Just the 3 of them can do that. And Ancient Bond cannot be used with units of the same character. So like I thought, he wouldn't be able to. But if you go to Pound, Pound does. So they might actually use Pound together because it would be a 4-way combo with the 4 of them. Maybe. So basically we'd get Pound instead of Ancient Bond. But Ancient Bond is a really powerful attack. So if you could build this team, and if you can do basically similar to what I did. Now, you'll notice a couple things that I did with my team here. A, like I was telling you earlier, if... No, don't do that. Hold up. Hold up, fam. Hold up. We don't want that. Let's go add Argonaut back in here. So I can actually show you now the way I did this. Okay? It's just easier to do this way. So he's using the Thunderfire Sword and Glorious Anklet. I've got both of those maxed out. They're absolutely the best. And this Glorious Anklet is actually anti-stun. Plus, if the assist that I put on him, because I've got her +5, the where's she at? Movie Artemis. Where did she go? There she is. If you're not familiar with how Movie Artemis works, let's do this this way. It's just easier. Okay. Movie Artemis, as she's MLB, strength and magic plus 20%, allies strength plus 15%. So she gives 20% to whoever she's attached to and 15% to everybody else on the team. If you'll notice that I have Orna here. No, I don't want... Stop doing that thing. There we go. So Orna does physical and magic resist minus 15% to the foe. So that's that 15% you saw dropped off before. Normally it's 0. And counter and guard rate plus 30%. So basically Krazo's going to be doing way more countering and way more guarding, even though he took a bit more damage. If you look at his stats, it actually helps him out a lot. So, you know, that's kind of my team build. You know, that, as you can see, it's an effective team build. Unfortunately, I don't have max stats on all of them. I've got to go work on their CP levels and things like that. But it's working. It's clearly not doing too bad. So that's the team I've chosen for Record Buster. But basically know that the big thing that the effects that Reveria does on you, when she does those first 2 super attacks, she debuffs you completely. So you need to rebuild those buffs, but she never undoes her own debuffs. Her own debuffs stay in play to the end of the game, I believe. I didn't check it at the end, but I believe they stay in place to the end of the game. So you can always just keep debuffing and debuffing, or just keep buffing and buffing your units while her debuffs stay in play, and just wreck her the hell out. So that's the video, guys. Let me know if this was useful and helpful to you guys, because I try to go into depth on these things when I can, but it does make for a longer video. So please give me some feedback in the comments section as to if you like something this in depth, even though it does cost us a little bit of time. And make sure, if you are interested in joining the Familia, make sure you fill out the Familia application below. That is going to be my video. This only is an example team to show you what you can do, but absolutely, if you have Haruhime, it's not a bad idea to throw her on there. If you don't have Argonaut and Kraus, or if you don't have them maxed out, you can always use her to keep buffs and debuffs in play, because she does both amazingly. And like I said, if you do have her after turn 9, and shout out to the guys in the stream this weekend, I'm sorry, on Wednesday, they're the ones who pointed that. I can't remember who it was, but one of you guys pointed that out to me. I didn't believe that she could be buffed and keep those buffs to the end of the game, but it worked. It's fantastic, and it's drastically improved my numbers. So, sharing the knowledge, guys. Go forth and wreck Reveria. That is the video. Make sure you guys hit that little thumbs up, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. I will catch y'all on the next Danmachi video.